Okay, let's do this. Time to feed these gamers. Hello, people. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? Look, I was the first person on YouTube to tell you that video games were in abundance. The first person. I was the first person to tell you that the video game industry benefited off the pandemic. The first person. And I was the first person on YouTube to tell you that when it comes to video games, that the pandemic was about infrastructure. You're looking at them. So you're saying, okay, why are you saying this? Remember I told you that video games were in abundance, right? All right. Look, when I got my Xbox One, I got to saw this firsthand. Because when Microsoft hired Phil Spencer, and when Xbox had over at Microsoft they had This Week on Xbox with Major Nelson, right? And they had a structure set up, and I saw this firsthand. So me getting an Xbox One with a 1 terabyte hard drive in it, I thought I was it. But then I got to find out that 1 terabyte hard drives on the Xbox One is a complete joke. What do I mean by a joke? What I mean is that based on the amount of games the Xbox One was getting, the updates that was coming in on a daily basis, the weekly publisher sales and the holiday sales, and then those games at expansions, and then you have This Week on Xbox on top of that to show you what's coming. So that's when I realized that video games were in abundance, because now Microsoft had a store, and they had a store, and then you could play the Xbox 360 games and some original Xbox games on the Xbox One. So that's when I realized that video games were in abundance. I also realized this too with the Wii U when they had the Virtual Console and what it stood for, because the Virtual Console is just a hard drive. It's your bookstore, it's your library, it's your bunker, it's your archive for your video games. And what Nintendo was supposed to do was take every game that they have on every console and store it in the virtual console. That's when I realized that video games were in abundance. I saw this with PlayStation too. So during the Activision Blizzard court case, a story was brought up that Nintendo made $60 billion off the Switch. Let me tell you something. That $60 billion that Nintendo made, that is pocket change compared to what they would have really made. Because look, if you take the Virtual Console, right, and store every video game in it, right, and then you add the pandemic on top of that, by the time the pandemic rolled around, because remember I was telling people that when it came to Nintendo, that the Switch should have never been built. They should have take the 3DS out the way and focus on the Wii U and the Virtual Console. I told you guys this. So if Nintendo would have taken all the games, right, that they ever made on every console and every handheld, right, and stored in the Virtual Console and refresh the Wii U and continue using it, by the time the pandemic rolls around, they would have made 5 times the amount, or even more. Remember, when the pandemic rolled around, the pandemic was about infrastructure. Okay, so those who have the infrastructure could weather the storm. So just I mean, from the time the Virtual Console came out, and if Nintendo would have continued using it, and just like take all the games that they ever had and put them in there, so when the pandemic rolls around now, they would have made at least 5 times the amount. So you're saying, well, okay, why are you saying all this? Listen to this. Robocop publisher says this: there's too many games on the market. Remember, I told you, video games are in abundance. I said this months, days, weeks, even years now. I've been said this. Okay? Robocop publisher says there's too many games on the market. Okay? This year, when the year started, I think it was Gaming on Linux. Or I think it was NeoWind, or one of those sites. On day number 2 of 2024, Steam gained like 30 plus games. Okay? Remember, Steam got about almost 80 to 90,000 games, right? There's 13,000 playable plus on the Steam Deck. Yeah. And then you got Microsoft now and Sony putting their games on what? PC. Yeah. There's video games are in abundance. Okay? So just imagine if Sony would have stayed with one store and keep adding all their PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games to it. Yeah. They would have a whole bunch of games to play. A whole lot. Video games are in abundance. Okay? Listen to this. Says here, executive at Nacon, the French game publisher behind the games like Robocop, Rogue City, and the WRC games, share their views on the current game market. Says here, too many games. That's one of the current problems that the interactive entertainment industry is facing, according to Benoit Clercy. He says 2023 was one of the best years in gaming in terms of diversity, selection, and back-to-back heavy-hitting release. But it wasn't such a great year for the company behind the games. Following record-breaking earnings during the COVID lockdown, the gaming economy has now corrected itself and led to a significant reconstruction of talent pool. Publishers and parent companies around the world are slashing budgets, cutting headcounts, canceling projects, and even shutting down studios. It says the congested market has squeezed consumers' choice during a time when discretionary income is low. Current inflation conditions have driven up the prices of basic needs and games themselves, and have likewise become more expensive. All major AAA games now sell for $69.99, a $10 increase over the previous $50.99 MSRP of video games. Publishers are well aware of the steep competition driven by the glut of games, and some, like French video game publisher Nacon, believe that there's too many titles flooding the digital storefront right now. Let me keep going here. says here, there's too many games currently on the market. We're seeing today the results of investments made after COVID, when the market was bursting and every game was making a lot of money. Didn't I just tell you the video game industry benefited from the pandemic? Who's laughing now? Anyway, says here, so there were a lot of investment being made. Yes, the video game industry benefited from the pandemic, and you heard it first from me. Anyway, says here, this is 2 or 3 years after. So the games we're seeing now on the market were financed in that time, and there are simply too many for consumers to be able to play them. Clearsey said in a recent interview with GameIndustry.biz, what that means is this: you know what? Let me finish reading. It says here, it's rare that we hear executive talk about these kinds of simplistic terms, but 2023 was indeed culminated in the maturation and on years worth of financial investment. Clearsey goes on to say about how many games are released on Steam and how tough it is to gain visibility and discovery on the storefront. And this is where Game Pass comes in. Anyway, it says when you look at Steam, some days there are 50 or 60 games released in one day only, so it's more difficult to get enough traction to expose a game. It says we're seeing release that there are without a day one, and then it says here to use the old retail expression, without any exposure of a title that has been properly marketed. And then it says here Naken has been hailed for its most recent release, Robocop Road City, which has turned out to be a hit among gamers. Naken also makes peripherals including video game controllers and headsets. Good article, Tweak Down. Now, I'm going to go back up a little bit. It says here, this year, what he says there's too many games currently on the market. We're seeing today the results of investment made after COVID when the market was bursting and every game was making a lot of money, so there were a lot of investment being made. Then he says this is 2 or 3 years after that, so the games we're seeing now on the market were financed in that time, and there are simply too many for customers to be able to play them. So look, one thing I have learned about playing video games, about owning multiple consoles, one thing I have learned, and this from personal experience, when you own multiple consoles, you don't have enough time. You don't have enough time to finish the games that you have, because each console carries a whole. Each consoles carry a certain amount of games, whether it's Sony, Nintendo, or Microsoft. So, if you're one person and you own 2 or 3 consoles from one of these console manufacturers, then you don't have enough time, to play all those games. You can play some of it, but you don't have enough time to finish all of them, because each console is getting so many games coming in at a random basis. At a like light speed. They're coming in so fast. So in today's video game markets, in 2024, since video games is so abundant, like I've been saying, months and weeks, days, even years now, it's best to stick with one console versus having 2 or 3. Sure, every console got their own exclusive games you want to have that you can play, but then the question now comes: are you finishing the games that you have? See what I'm saying? So when it comes to today's games, today's console, it's best that you have one. Now, me for instance, take myself for instance. When the Series X and PS5 came out, I sat there and watched for a minute, and I seen what Nintendo was doing, I seen what Sony was doing, I seen what Microsoft was doing. When Valve came out with the Steam Deck, it caught my attention. When Sony and Microsoft went like this to PC, that's when I made my decision to get the Steam Deck. Because now I have the Steam Deck and I can play Sony's games and Microsoft games on it. Okay? And not only that, it saves me some money too, where I don't have to buy a Series X or a PS5 or or even a Nintendo Switch. Then on top of that now, Steam has about what, 90,000 games? 90? And about 13,000 plus and counting is playable on the Steam Deck. And then you have new games coming in. Of course, with the updates and the deals. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. Yeah. Video games are in abundance. That's why I got the Steam Deck. And this article just points it out. I've been saying this. I saw this with the like I said, I saw this with the Xbox One. I saw this with the Wii U and what the Virtual Console stood for and what Nintendo was supposed to be doing. That sales, marketing, commercial failure argument was a lie made up, by the way, because all they had to do was get rid of the 3DS, take the 3DS games, put them in the Virtual Console so you can play them on the Wii U. And matter of fact, they had the 3DS and the Wii U games side by side in the same eShop, running off the same network. So the problem with the Wii U was never sales, like other people want to put it. The problem with the Wii U is a 3DS. You had a CD versus cartridge problem. Okay. When I saw that video games were in abundance, is with the Wii U and the Virtual Console, and I saw it with the Xbox One, plus the PS4, and also PS3. That's when I knew this, and the way the games were coming in, and the way the climate was changing during that time, and then developers gained more. The developers that was making games on the Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1, 64, Neo Geo, TurboGrafx, all those years, they've gained a lot of experience, and they know how to make games, so they got the experience now. So now the games can come out a little bit faster versus like back in the early years of gaming. So that's when I saw it. So video games are in abundance. Make no mistake about it. Okay? They're in abundance. The amount of games that's on the let's see, let's say PlayStation 3 store, PlayStation 4 store. What about PlayStation 5? What about Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One? What about Nintendo with the Switch? But like I've always said, they should have stayed with the Wii U and the Virtual Console. This is what I was alluding to. Because once I understood what the Virtual Console stood for, then I knew that Switch shouldn't even been built. The Virtual Console is like your hard drive, bookstore, library, bunker, archive for your video games. Okay, and all those games they were supposed to store it there, and then refresh the Wii U and then keep using it. Okay, so yeah, video games are in abundance, man, and these developers just made me look good. But I'm just saying it in a joke. I'm joking right now. But they made me look good because I saw this, like with all these games, and now I'm looking at myself. Okay, I'm one person. So I'm gonna get an Xbox One and then get a PS5, and then I said, nah, let me sit back and wait a little bit. And remember, when the Xbox, not the Xbox One, but when the Xbox Series X and PS5 came out, you had scalpers to deal with, so they were hard to come by. So I sat back and watched. I'm just watching. And when Valve decided they were coming into the market, yeah, I made the right decision, by the way, getting the Steam Deck. Because there's so many games to play now. And then you add okay, Game Pass to the mix, because Game Pass now is a platform for independent developers to show their games. Yeah. And then there's Steam, and then there's GOG, and then there's Epic, and then there's, yeah. It's an abundance, man. Plenty of it. Okay? So the video game industry did benefit from the pandemic. They did. A whole lot. Financial wise too. Because remember, stores were closed. So the only way to get your games was what? Digitally. Just saying. they benefited, man. So yeah, there's plenty of games on the market right now, you know, and owning owning multiple consoles right now when there's so many right now. Now time management comes into play, you know, because you need 8 hours to sleep. You gotta work, so it's like okay, yeah. Video games are in abundance, man. Yeah, it really is, and you're seeing it. I mean, the year start and Steam has what, 30 plus games already on day number 2 to add on top of the catalog of games that they have already. Then what about PlayStation? What about Xbox? They're getting games too. So, and then what about Nintendo? They're getting games. There's so many games to play. Yeah, so many, man. So like I was joking and I was saying there's so many games, so little time. Yeah, plenty of games, man. Because the developers now, they have mastered. The developers now, why games are so abundant now, is because of the tech and the hardware that they have, and plus the experience of making video games back in the Turbo Graphics, Atari Jaguar days, Panasonic 3DO days, Neo Geo days, the Sega Master System, 8-bit Nintendo days, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, 64, PS1, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, PS2, original Xbox 360, PS3. They gained all those experience all those years. So now, with all that experience now that they of making video games, it's easier for them now to put it out because they got the tools and the know-how how to do it. You know, so yeah, there's plenty of games on the market right now. This is 2024. And there's games being made right now, games being developed, games being, that's coming to Steam, that's coming to Game Pass, that's coming to PlayStation, that's coming to Nintendo. There's plenty of them, man. So right now, to me owning multiple consoles, it's kind of like suicide right now, to me because. You don't have enough time to finish all those games on every console, man. When you look at it, you know, so yeah, plenty of games to play, man. And then the PS4 and the Xbox One, they benefited from the pandemic. I mean, the PS4 and Xbox One benefited from the pandemic because a lot of the games that were going to the Series X and PS5, PS4 and Xbox One players can play. Plenty of games to play, man. So yeah, video games, they're in abundance. They're in abundance. Plenty of them. I mean, Steam has what, 90,000 games? 90? Oh yeah, plenty. And then video games now are what, $70? Yeah, no big deal. They're getting expensive to make now too. So the developers got to be paid for their work. Oh yeah, $70. That's not even a big deal, but they got the experience to where they can make games now. They're getting so movie-like now. It's crazy, you know. When you look at it, you know, if you see how the games are coming out now. So yeah, abundance. Yeah, yeah. And then today is what? The 11th. The 11th of January 2024. We got 11 more months before the year is over. Oh yeah, there's plenty of games coming out. Yeah, and Steam will be getting some more games before January is over. Oh yeah, so yeah, it's in abundance, man, and right now it's a good time to be a gamer right now. It's a good time to be a gamer right now. It's a good thing to be a gamer right now. You know, because there's so many choices out there now. You know, so many choices from the PC side or the console side. You know, PC got now portable PCs now that can play gaming on the go now. It's a fun time to be a gamer right now. whether PC or console. So yeah, but it is competitive though, that's for sure. So yeah, but other than that, man, the developers were right. There's too many games on the market, but but it's a good thing though. It's a good thing. People have choices now. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Bored, Dark Side. Go.